Hello, girls and boys. It's Mama K.
And Papa K.
And we've missed you.
Oh,
but
yes.
Anyway, we have a lot to cover today, so let's get started. So first, we're going to start with who remembers Better Be. Here we go, Papa.
All right.
Be a better be. Be a better best.
Never let it rest until your B is better and your better is best.
Yay! So we want to talk about updates. Anybody have any updates, birthdays? Just in case, here we go. La 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 la.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, everybody. Happy birthday to you. Hey.
Okay, my update, Mama K has been writing this book, and she's been writing and writing and writing. Well, the good news is that I have finished the last edits, and it's on its way to copy editing.
Yay!
So what have you been doing since the last time we talked? Have you been playing, doing video games?
No, they've been reading. They've been reading a lot.
Okay, well, yay! Next week, I'm going to give you a list of books that I think you might enjoy if you haven't read them already. So here we go. Let's get started. Last week, we just talked about pets. This week, we're going to talk about music. So today, we're going to be reading Becoming Bach. Can you make it a little closer? Okay.
How's that?
Okay. Becoming Bach. Music was always being played. When it wasn't being played, I heard it in my head. Just see if you can see at the bottom of the Johann was just 1 year old when he started hearing sounds in his head. What sounds do you hear in your head? Papa K, you hear any sounds?
Oh, hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Oh yeah, I hear some.
Okay.
My family had been musicians for over 200 years. In our part of Germany, musicians were called Bachs. As you see all of these various musicians that are Bachs. You have a Viet Bach, you have a John Christopher Bach, we have a Maria Elizabeth, and we also have a Johann Samuel Bach. I always wanted to be a Bach.
Okay, where's the sheet about Germany?
Germany. Let's look at Germany.
Now remember what he said. Papa K read in Johann's part of Germany, musicians were called Bachs. So here is
where the red circle is, that's Germany. And if you look over to the left here, you can see the United States of America, and it gives you a view of how small it is, at least Germany, compared to the United States.
And how far you would have to travel if you decide to go and visit. But just remember, Johann always wanted to be a Bach. We're not there yet. Hand me that. Remember, we're still in the laboratory, okay?
We would bring our instruments and play and sing on a hillside. Even our picnics had music. I learned to play the harpsichord, the violin, the trumpet, the flute, and the organ. And I sang in my strongest voice, ha, 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 hear me sing.
Okay, now what's your favorite instrument? When I was in elementary school, in junior high, you call it middle school. And high school, I played a little bit clarinet. Can you see my shirt to show you my clarinet? And Papa K?
She actually tried to play. I played the saxophone, alto sax. Okay.
After mother and father went to heaven, his parents died. He was very sad. He said, I needed to say things, but words weren't enough. Johann walked over 30 miles with his brother, Johann Jacob, to live with their oldest brother, Johann Christoph, and he taught them music. This is place for the
Now, remember I showed you where Germany is. Ohrdruf is a small town within the borders of Germany. It's in the northeast part, I believe, of Germany, but it's a small town in Ohrdruf. So if you see this, where Ohrdruf is, it's just a small section of the whole state.
And remember when he said Johann walked over 30 miles, so they were walking to Ohrdruf to get to the big brother's house where he taught them music.
I love to copy music, but my brother hid the hard music from me. I found it when he was sleeping at night and copied it, all of it. The music made patterns on the page. The patterns made music when you played them.
Okay.
Patterns were like the designs on my mother's dress, patterns like the ripples on the surface of the river.
Okay, let's talk about patterns. He said like patterns like the designs on his mother's dress. Do you think this is one that his mother would have worn?
No,
Papa K says,
no.
Papa K says no. But anyway, see the various patterns on the dress. What about St. Patty's Day? You see the patterns? Johann saw patterns everywhere. Do you think he would make some musical notes with this hat, with the patterns from St. Patty's Day hat? Or what about this mask? See the patterns? Wonder what would he write or compose as a result of the patterns on this mask? And last, you see the patterns on this picture frame? Wonder what he would be thinking and what musical notes would come into his mind and what color would they be? Oh, sorry, we're in the laboratory. New sounds, happy sounds, quiet sounds, yellow sounds, red sounds, blue sounds, all the sounds in my head. Well, the colors in my head are purple, pink, green, and yellow. What colors are in your head, Papa K?
Well, today is orange, blue, and black.
So class, tell me what colors are in your head, the music that you would make. What colors would they be? Remember in the other one previous, you see various, okay, if you look closely at this illustration, you see insects, you see bees, there's a violin, there's a French horn, and all of these are various colors. There are people having conversation. There's a rabbit in the blue. You see the rabbit in the blue? So all of these different insects, looking at people, patterns, they create these various colors in his head. Johann needed to make patterns, so he wrote music. Another way to say that is he composed music. Patterns of sounds, patterns of invention, just 7 notes. Every note made a different sound.
Just 7 notes, 2 notes together made a different sound. 3 notes together made an even more different sound. What sounds could I make with 7 notes?
What song can you think of? Any? I saw patterns everywhere. Everywhere I looked, I saw patterns. So we showed you the patterns of the dressing of designs in the mother's dress, the St. Patty's Day hat. What about this tissue box? You see the patterns in this tissue box? Now I want you to take a second and look around you and see what patterns you see that maybe Johann would have composed a beautiful piece of music.
Now, when I got my first job as a church organist, I sat down at the organ. I looked at the massive pipes that seemed to rise up to heaven above. The manuals on the keyboards all lined up in black and white. The pedals on the pedal board beneath my feet. I looked at the stops in rows like notes on a page. I pulled out all the stops.
Okay, let's take a minute and discuss this. The stops, as you can see, okay, not very good. Let's see what I can do to make that a little bit better. Oh. Can you see the stops here where he's pulling these little knobs? Look what
Those are the stops.
Those are the stops. Okay, let me read something again, just in case you didn't really hear it. Papa K said when he got his first job as a church organist, he sat down at the organ. He looked at all the massive pipes that seemed to rise up to heaven above. The manuals on the keyboards are all lined in black and white. So let's talk about manuals. This is a really beautiful page. If you can see, hold up. Okay. I hope you can see this. A manual, you may be wondering, well, what's a manual? Well, I did some research, which is what we do when we don't know something or we want to learn more. So a keyboard to be played by hand is called a manual. It comes from the Latin word of manus, which means hand. An organ with 4 keyboards is said to have 4 manuals. Most organs also have a pedal board, which is at the feet, a large keyboard to be played by the feet. So, in our church, we have an organ with 2 manuals. Now, I want to show you this picture. When I was doing my research, here's an organ with 5 manuals, which means it has 5 keyboards. So your organ could have as many as 2, from as little as 2 to as much as or more than 5 keyboards, which are called manuals.
And I produced the largest sound possible, a sound that could be heard for miles. It was a mighty sound. It was a sound that would be heard. It was the sound in my head.
So let's see what some sounds that were in his head. Just listen. Okay, now, what did you learn? Johann Sebastian Bach composed that piece, which is entitled Papa K.
It's called the Brandenburg Concerto Number 3.
Concerto Number 3
In G minor. Major.
We're in the laboratory. In case you want to look it up and Google it and play it for yourself, it's Brandenburg Concerto
Number 3 in G major.
And remember, he talked about 7 notes. So 7 notes, and he composed all of that beautiful music.
Okay, I'm sure.
Okay.
It was then that I knew I had become a Bach. Johann Sebastian Bach.
Okay, and here's a picture of Johann Sebastian Bach. Okay, that's the end. So, what I would like to do before I introduce a surprise is I want to give you one problem. If if he was born in 1685, how old would he be today? I have the answer because I computed it. I need for you to let Miss Wilson know your answer, and we'll see what happens if you have the correct answer. He was born in 1685. How old would he be today? Okay, I have a surprise for you. I want to introduce someone very special. Her name is Juliet Jones. She's a Bach, I believe. You think she's a Bach, Papa K?
She is definitely a Bach.
I don't know about that.
I'm not through. You know, I mentioned in the book that Johann began to hear sounds as young as 1 year of age. I don't know if Julie heard any sounds. She'll let you know. But anyway, here's Julie when she started playing and performing when she was 5 years of age. And I think somewhere, maybe 10, 15, 20 years later, she became a Bach. So from there, I'd like to introduce my second-born daughter, who is a professional violinist, who is the owner and founder of Rootstock Republic Production Company. You can check it out. She'll let you know the website. And she's going to give you some additional information.
Thanks for that really sweet introduction, Mama and Papa K. I'm so honored to be on as your special guest today to talk about Bach and his own intuitive genius. And I think right now is the time when everybody has a little extra time on their hands. And it's a really great time to tap into your own interest and your own genius if you're reading and making new discoveries. That's one way that you can tap into your own genius, which is exactly what Bach did. So like my mom said, I started when I was 5, and here we are 30 years later playing the violin. Similar to Bach, I also am a composer. What does that mean? That means that I write original music. So I've written a couple of pieces that I'll play today that experiment with this idea of color. Now, you heard from the book that music is created of lots of different sounds, but the sounds can sometimes make you think of all these colors. So I'll play something first, kind of in the tradition of Bach, with lots of different notes being played at the same time. And tell me what colors you think you're hearing. What do you think? Did we hear lots of colors? Mama K?
I heard hard.
I heard some blues and yellow.
I heard some yellow also and some pink, but I also heard, I think, some brown and maybe some dark gray.
Very nice.
The lower notes to me were the dark grays, and the lighter notes were the pinks and the yellows. And so, is that correct?
Uh-huh. The nice thing about music is that it can mean anything you need it to mean, anything you want it to mean. The other nice thing about music is that if you don't feel like you're seeing any colors or hearing any colors, how do we hear color? Exactly kind of how Mama and Papa K had an immediate reaction. I think I hear blue, or I think I feel yellow. If you didn't see color, did it make you feel something? Did you feel any emotions? Did it make you feel happy or sad or anxious or angry, or what did it make you think of? Were there any feelings that came to mind?
Well, what came to my mind is that was a very difficult piece to play. But I have no musical skills, so what can I say?
The nice thing about music is that even if you don't play or sing, it can make you feel something. And that's the point. I'll try something different and tell me what colors and what feelings come to mind.
Oh, it made me feel like I was riding a horse running through the forest. Oh.
I certainly was running. I was running. Yes. A horse?
I was riding a horse trying to run away.
That means sometimes the pace of the music can directly impact. Impact is how something has an effect on us, how we feel, how we think, how we experience different things. You heard something really fast, really kind of aggressive. It made you feel like you were running. And then maybe if you hear something slow, it makes you feel, a little more relaxed.
Right. Very good. Yeah.
Well, Julie, I want to thank you so much for lending us your beautiful talent to share with our fourth graders and whomever Bookums is going to share this video with. I really, really appreciate you taking your time. And I just want to tell you, good people, Julie was performing in California, and when the pandemic hit, she was not able to get away. So she lives in New York City, but she's stuck in California. So I just want to thank you so much for your willingness and just sharing your gift and your beauty, not only physically, but musically. I really appreciate it. And also, before we close, I want to also thank Office Depot for making all of the color illustrations at no charge. And I really, really appreciate their support of what Team Kirkwood Literacy Lab is trying to do in Being Better Be and bringing books to life.
Yes.
That's what we do. So I'll see you next week.
Right.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you, Juju.
Okay, now I gave you your assignment. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Do I stop it and then end?